Champagne Rugby Podcast, brought to you by MAXRaft, fitting insulated concrete slabs nationwide. The first step to a warm, comfortable home. Thank you very much for joining us from the Export Beer Garden studio. As always, it's me, Tony Lyall, and James McOnie. And James, quarter-final time, baby, Super Rugby. The biggest non-event, maybe, in rugby history, the quarter-finals, and we plough through to the semis.
Yeah, it's a big old walkover, lots of one-sided affairs. A blowout, as we call them in the ACC, where you can feel a blowout, you can sense it, and there were plenty of those. But I think the big issue now is now that we've lost two of our teams, the Highlanders joined the Crusaders on the Mad Monday a recovery trail, and so who though will raise a pick in his team, because he's a bit different this year.
Yep.
He's gone with 5 selectors. So what he's done is Leon McDonald, he'll pick the back 3. Jason Holland will do the midfield. Scott Hansen, who's their little ex-Crusaders coach, the cuddly little Scott, he's going to go with the 9 and 10s. Razor's going to pick the loose forwards, and Jason Ryan will pick the tight 5.
Is this your reading of it, or is this something that's been announced?
It's been announced.
So they're saying they're going to assemble it like Voltron and be like, these are the best players that I know who do these 3 jobs. Forget about how they work together.
Yeah, and if the first 5 has a shitter, Razor will just look over at Scott Hansen and go, "What the fuck was that, mate?
You're fired, mate. You're fired."
You're killing me here, fucker. Play some defense.
Surely the 9 and the 8, it'd be good if they were familiar with each other. You'd think we'd want them.
There will be liaising. I feel like it's around the table. There's a whiteboard, and there's kind of like, sweaty brows and like, how long are we going to wait here? Because in the end, Razor will always have the power of veto.
Yeah.
I think in the end, even Wayne Smith's going to be able to stick his oar in, because he'll be in the corner just waiting for his moment, and they'll say, like Yoda, "What do you think?" And he'll be like, "Love, Reuben." I do.
He'll be saying, "More Crusaders," as they always do. They bloody love. And this is will be the classic telling. Crusaders, shit, worst team in the comp, a laughing stock. We've been ripping on them all season. Rob Penny's calling people C-bombs left, right and centre. I bet they'll still have more All Blacks than the Highlanders easily. They'll flood the market with Crusaders All Blacks. They'll all go, "Oh, nah, different team." And that really gets my goat, because I'd love to see a guy like Ratamatavuki Nepkins maybe even just get brought into the environment. That classic thing where we go, we just brought you into the environment to see. We want to see you a bit closer.
So I think he is in with a chance. So I've highlighted the positions where there's a little bit of interest. So the locks, the loose forwards, and the back 3. So Jacob Ratamatavuki Nepkins, JRK rolling. He's had a huge season, and I've got some stats here that will excite you, because in terms of defenders beaten, he's up there, but not at the top. But in terms of meters made, he's right up there.
Yeah.
He's there for a lot of the stats that you want from your fullback. Line breaks, okay, he didn't make it, but hey, that's all right. He was basic. Carries as well. Anyway, he's going well. But the other thing is he's real quick. And when it comes to the All Blacks, whenever they get in camp, the first thing when you interview them that week, they go, "Oh, I forgot how fast it was. Test rugby, and even the trainings, bloody everyone's quick and that." And it's like, well, you have to take note of that. It's like, it does matter if you are Jacob or Braden Yorsay. Bring a little bit of speed to the table helps you.
Yeah, it certainly does. And with JRK rolling as well, he can kick the absolute shell off a ball. He's been punting that Highlanders team out of trouble all season long. And I think that's like the underrated, not underrated, but it's a quality in the fullback which is so pivotal, especially if you've got a couple of winger. It frees you up to have a guy like Caleb Clark on one of the wings, who I think is pretty exceptional, because you've got a guy who can just boot the crap out of it from anywhere. Some of those kicks against the Brumbies on the weekend that he was putting out there were world class. 100%. Get him in there.
I like him, and I think Fabian Holland will come in as a lock. So Fabian Holland's your big. He's 6'8", 6'9". He's a big unit, and generally the other locks who sort of seem to get around the park a bit better are your 6'6" guys. A couple of 6'5" guys sneak in, but generally you need the big unit, and I think you're losing Brody Retallick, and obviously Doggerel comes in as the muscular kind of power lock, who's your 6'6" dude. But then I wonder whether Holland, because of his dimensions and also turnovers won. I thought this would all be about other players, but Billy Harmon's at the top. But guess who is at number 7? Fabian Holland.
Is that for the all comp?
The whole season.
That's incredible.
So Fabian Holland, I thought it was going to be Justin Sangster. I thought he is a lock. The Hurricanes guy, I thought, oh, maybe he's making some strides. He's looking so good. All of those Hurricanes do look good. But I was looking at it and thinking, fucking hell, Fabian Holland, okay, take a bow there, because Tavatava Nawai is about 5th on the table.
I was going to say, where is Tavatava Nawai?
He's 5th. And then, of course, McCrate Day and Billy Harmon up the top. But, yeah, that's a big stat for me, and I reckon that they'll be waiting. I think he's probably been ID'd as someone who's a monster, and when can we have him?
Patrick Tuipulotu was injured as well. Does that mean that he will not be selected to start the season? Will they bring someone else in his injury cover, and he will be so he'll be selected, but they'll say, and we'll chuck in, we'll chuck in Sangster or Derry or someone like this to cover up.
Probably. I mean, it depends how bad the knee injury is, but yeah, he was going to get picked, so they do have to have cover for him. It's interesting because there must be guys like, for example, Razor. He's going to pick Ethan Blackadder. That was his project the whole time he was the coach at the Crusaders, and I mean, he probably wants to pick Cullen Grace, not the face, So, but how can you pick him over Hoskins, Satutu, or Braden Yorsey? That's the thing. Loose forwards he's got a tough job, Razor, in that meeting room.
Well, I think, to be fair, Cullen Grace has made his job pretty easy for him. I reckon he's a great player, and I think he'll get there eventually, but not off the form you've seen of him this season. You'd think Braden Yorsey, he lights the game up. He's all over the place on both defence and attack, and you just haven't quite seen it. You haven't seen what he's capable of, because he's done it before, Cullen Grace. So he'll be back, but I'd say at this point it would be an outrage.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Braden Yorsey is going to get the nod, and they'll probably try and carry an extra loose forward, because I know that Razor will want to see, especially if Hoskins plays the house down in the next 2 weeks, he'll have to see what he's like at test level again, because you're getting a big body. I mean, Braden Yorsey is that sort of, he's a slim, lightweight number 8, but he can run like the wind. But then they sort of go, well, is Peter Larkai the guy we want to do that role as well? We've got Adi Savia, who does a similar thing. But I'd say that they'll try and pick all of those guys. In fact, I think Larkai is going to get in. Yeah,
surely. He's absolutely seems to come out of nowhere in this weird way just this season. Erupted all over the place, like the videos I watch when I'm all alone. But it was just exciting. Every time you see him, he's just doing something, maybe setting up a try. Super effective on defense. He's got to be in the mix.
So back three, we've talked about Jacob. What about someone like Josh Morby, who is rumoured to be going to France? Now the rumours,
I think that's all locked in, isn't it? I don't think it's a rumour.
Someone leaked it in France. They leaked the hell out of it, but nothing has been said since. And that generally says to me that it's one of those deals where you're going to France unless you get picked for the All Blacks.
Yeah, well, I remember someone was picked for, they announced they were going overseas, and then basically the All Blacks coach at the time a few years ago was like, yeah, if he wasn't going overseas, we would have picked him. And it would have been like his childhood dream, but he'd unfortunately already signed up. And
they do the 180.
I can't remember who it was, but
they do the backflip. Yeah, it's happened before. So that must be, it sounds to me like maybe that's what's happening with that he would like to stay and play for the All Blacks if he gets picked. He's going to go close, but then I think Caleb Clark and Mark Talia as incumbent All Blacks have probably shown enough to be in the squad. And then you go, well, Ruben Love or Jacob Raitumaitavuki-Neepkins, and then Narawa. It's a real weird mix because they always carry fewer wings and fullbacks just because there's so many other players that cover that position.
Yeah, I mean, and then you chuck in the likes of Sevu Reece, who's shown what he's capable of as well, just another man to fill a spot. He could jump in and do a capable job. I mean, he was really game in, game out, the shining light in that Crusaders team. Yeah. I thought he was exceptional doing the Tavatava Nawai thing as well, of getting in there over the ball, constant pick and goes. He was electric. And again, it'd be tough if he was left out, I'd think, for him.
And of course, Bowden Barrett comes back. So you end up in this scenario where, oh, that's right, there's all the returning All Blacks who've got written into their contracts that they can go to Japan, get some money, and then come home. So Ruben Love, I'd like to see him as a 10-15 sort of hybrid. You know, like I'd actually prefer in some ways the extra pace of Ratu Maitavuki Nepkins at the back, because you just want a fullback who's, once they make the break, it's all over.
It's all over.
It is all over.
And it really is. He gets on the outside of anyone and see you later. He's so nice with it, and good trashy tattoos as well, which
you want that.
Adds another dimension to his playing set. I think he'll miss out, to be honest. I can't see much space for him with the people who have put in the work already. You know, they're so loyal, the All Black selectors, and I'd imagine these guys will want to carve their own lane, but they'll still, you know, they can't go too crazy, can they?
No. Well, will they even do the chat that every All Black selector has kind of flirted with, which is saying to Rieko Ioane, we actually like you on the wing. Can we trial a new, that Hurricanes midfield of old Barrett and Proctor look pretty good. Just want to try it. But look, I still think Rieko is your number one, but everybody who's chasing him down, Anton Leonard-Brown starting to play well, all that sort of stuff. There's so many combos that you could try in midfield. I
think with Rieko Ioane, I mean, I think you're right. I think he is the number one now. But, I mean, he's been playing the All Blacks centre position now. He'd be number 113 for a good few years. And you've never quite seen it pay off in the way that we would have hoped it would have. It's to be like, great, you're one of the greats. You're right up there. I just hope that he can kick on. Maybe this is the year, or I just don't know what he needs to become one of the greats.
So when I was poring over that shocking World Cup final last year, when I decided to punish myself by watching it again.
Oh, I've never done it.
Don't do it. But if a couple of passes had gone at the right time, Rieko Ioane could have been the absolute hero of that game. He was right there in the right position.
The ball not hitting him. Oh, okay.
So that would be gutting. There's a couple of moves, and people who've watched it will know what I'm talking about. I'm not here to sort of like name and shame, but there were moves where Rieko would have scored.
Yeah, the ball was held on to. I'm assuming Geordie Barrett, you grub.
No, it was just, I can't remember, but yeah, it was somebody held onto the ball, and I was like, oh, Rieko would have, would have been alarm bells then. That gas, elite gas.
Elite gas. And he is one of the greats. We'll get into it soon. The Blues against the Fijian Drua on the weekend. His gas is just outstanding, and you get him past that first man, and it's havoc. All hell breaks loose. You don't want to talk about any more forward selections? There was nothing licking your lips about that for the All Blacks? All pretty straight and narrow?
Well, I mean, I think, so you go dog roll, Tupou Vaa'i. Josh Lord's injured, so then I think that you get a bit of new blood because Patrick Tuipulotu's not there, so you get a bit of Fabian Holland, and there's room for maybe a Justin Sangster.
Geez, that's a green locking department though, isn't it? I mean, dog roll is the obvious big dog in there, but when you got Tupou Vaa'i as your number 4 starting lock, obviously he's been around the blocks a bit, but he's not exactly what you call an All Black legend.
Well, no, not yet, but that's the whole thing, man. It's like the World Cup cycle. The year after, there's
I'm so used to having a team full of All Black legends, every single position.
Yeah.
And you get scared when there's not someone in every single position. And then do you think there's a big callback for Owen Franks?
Owen Franks, I don't think he's going to come back. But is he still going to do another year? Looks like he still wants to go around one more time.
Maybe.
Yeah, anyway.
Maybe we Ryan Crotty callback?
No Crotty, but I think Havili might sneak in because Razor, again, it's another one of his projects.
Yeah, well, you got to have a controversial Crusader in there, don't you? Again, good boot.
Yeah,
for me, he slips in with the boot. Well, now we will take a break. We've covered that. I think it was worthwhile doubling back for that one, and we'll be back with the quarterfinal results very shortly. And we are back. Look at that. Just like I promised. I never tell a lie, by the way. I never promise something and then not deliver. And we can talk about these quarterfinal results. And if there was ever a quarterfinals round that really underlined the fact that this competition does not need quarterfinals, it was these quarterfinals. Hiding after hiding after hiding, and the final one was close enough, but still comprehensive. There just should have been semi-finals.
Yeah, this is really highlighted. But also, I think they said there hasn't been an away win in a quarterfinal for 8 seasons or something crazy anyway. That might have been one of those Aussie podcasts coming up with a stat. But
Good stat.
so if I begin with the Chiefs v Reds, the Reds, the old bogey team for the Chiefs, they turned up in Hamilton and you could actually tell from probably first 5 minutes that they weren't quite there.
No.
They weren't right. Every move the Chiefs wanted to do, they pulled off. Ben O'Keefe trying to make up for that horrific grand final last year. It's a year too late, Ben O'Keefe. We don't need your good calls now, but it's fine. It looked like it was just going to be an absolute walkover. Then a little glimmer of life after halftime with the cabin boy getting a couple of tries, but then it was like, okay, we're back. We're just and we put it into cruise control and neutral for the last quarter. You could see every sub was on.
Yeah.
Probably should have put Damien and Cottonwall a bit earlier, but they didn't have a first 5 on the bench. And Rame Kapoihepi was their cover at first 5. And I think Brad Slater scored with a G-string on his head. So that pretty much summed it up.
Yeah, you like to see that. 43-21, the final score. And yeah, you're right, they did coast at the end. But for the first half, everything the Chiefs did stuck. Nothing the Reds did looked good at all. It was horrific stuff. They really didn't get off the plane. But the Chiefs, I thought, from all the semi-finals that I watched, which was all of them, I thought they were the best team in those quarterfinals. I thought they weren't fighting with handling errors like the Blues. They weren't sort of, even though the Hurricanes won by 27 odd points, they still didn't, they seemed to be just mucking things up left, right and centre. And the Brumbies coughed their way through the first half and then just came right in the start of the second half. But the Chiefs look finely tuned, and I wonder if they could be almost I don't want to say the favourites, but they could be peaking at the right point of the season. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, we're hoping in Chiefs country, all the Chiefs Mana fans are kind of. I mean, G Lane's just pumped. He thinks he can't wait to commentate the game 4:35 p.m. on Saturday here at the ACC.
Sky Sport 9, I believe.
I'm shitting bricks as well, and it's on Sky Sport 9 because I sort of feel like the Hurricanes have looked the best all season. I think we could go back to old podcasts, and even week 1 I was going, man, the Hurricanes look good against the Force, just crisp, fast, powerful. The Chiefs finally picked what we think is their top team and their first 15, and it just showed that I guess if you do want to, if they were kind of what would you call it, like working things out, getting into some form, waiting for their All Blacks, because there are a few, and that you do need to wait for them to get over the World Cup hangover and start playing well. We've always seen that from all these other franchises for years. You know, Richie McCaw having, a spluttering start to a Super Rugby season and then just being the real Richie come playoff time. So I think there's a bit of that, and also just trying to work out who they are without Brodie Retallick, Sam Cane and Brad Weber. You're pretty much your leadership group gone.
Yeah. And
now I think they're just getting things sorted. Should be an absolute blockbuster semi, that one.
I think it's the semi of the weekend, I guess. I'm actually thinking I think the Chiefs might sneak in there and upset that and knock over this Hurricanes team. I think that's, if I was a betting man, which I am, I'll be putting some money on the TAB, which I will. I reckon they're going to do it. The Hurricanes, I mean, like I said, they ended up beating the Rebels by 27 points, but that's 1v8. That's the team that just snuck in to the quarterfinals anyway, where the Chiefs was 4 versus 5, so, a bit more evenly matched. The Reds were on a decent run of form near the end of the season, so they had a harder assignment and still managed to do a fairly similar score. The Canes, the Rebels, at first I was thinking, what are we watching here? Are the Rebels going to somehow, some way get another game? But no, they're done. They're gone from it.
There's a couple of things that have happened to the Chiefs that have made a huge difference. There's been a noticeable uptick in the form of Tupou Vaa'i. He's playing like he is the senior lock now, the senior pro. He's not the biggest lock in the world, but he is very combative and does a lot of the dirty work. He's a turnover guy. He loves defending, and he carries well. So we sort of needed to see the all-round game from him that hasn't happened probably earlier in the season. Wallace Satiti's come out of frickin' nowhere.
Yeah.
Side titty, showing a bit of something, a bit of class, a bit of mystery with the side titty. And if you started the season, he wouldn't have been like you wouldn't have considered him, that's our starting number 8.
No.
So he's made a massive difference, but it's also meant that Luke Jacobson can go and play number 7, which actually I think might be his best position. He is very much like Sam Cane, a defensive 7, huge defender, and nullifies, I guess, whatever the other team is trying to bring. So when you're playing against the Hurricanes, your assignment is, this is how shit it is for anyone who plays them. Peter Larkai replaced by Heather Duplessis-Kirifi.
Yeah, it's tough.
Unbelievable. Holy shit. So, yeah, I just reckon that's made a massive difference to the team.
Yeah, they certainly looked the goods and just slick. Everything they did seemed to be super slick. I mean, the last home game of the season for them as well, so I think they were putting on a little bit of a clinic for the Hamilton faithful. And, I mean, what are they going down to Wellington? They'll put a decent contingent of you Chiefs Mana fans shooting down there, you reckon? You reckon that you'll be able to get some more people in the Sky Stadium? Because it's pretty woeful for that Hurricanes-Rebels game. It looked full, and then you saw a back angle when you're like, oh, no, it's empty.
Yeah, and 4:35 will help, I think. Afternoon game in Welly. Yeah, the Chiefs fans, there'll be plenty that will travel. There's always a bit of mana sprinkled all around, New Zealand and the world. In fact, I saw a great Chiefs jersey, a heritage one, at a Brisbane at a Reds game over there. I was like, oh, that's a nice jersey. So you see them everywhere. Perth, a lot of people from the Waikato escape to work on the mines.
Of course.
Work in the mines. Now,
Chiefs and Canes, really quickly before we get off that, as the semi-final.
Yeah.
Also quite interesting because they've sort of dabbled and pulled from each other's regions over the history of Super Rugby, right, with a wee bit of a swapping of New Plymouth and also Napier. So they've been like, oh, you're Chiefs now, you're Hurricane. Oh, no, switcheroo, you're not anymore. So I do wonder if there might be some sort of implanted fans who are now in the Hurricanes and Chiefs regions who actually support the other team.
Yeah, there's been a lot of wife swapping going on in Taranaki, and even before the Chiefs even existed. But it was definitely when they did turn up, there's people who have remained loyal to the black and yellow, including the Barrett family, clearly. Okay, I get it, Smiley play for the Canes. But kids growing up there's a lot of them that are all about Chiefs Mana, those Taranaki kids. And I know I've got a couple of mates who said, no, if the Chiefs are bringing their games here, then we're Chiefs as well. So there's been a fair amount of that, but I think just as well, because we've got a lot of Taranaki players in the Chiefs, but the two players who I noticed who have ended up at the Canes have been outstanding, or additions anyway. Justin Sangster, the lock, is a Tauranga kid. He went to Aquinas College, which is a Catholic school. Yeah, a bit of Aquinas taste. And then you've got Pasilio Tosi, who went to Rotorua Boys High, and he's a monster. He is Godzilla, plays tight head prop, and don't know how he slipped away from the Chiefs scouts, but he did.
Kenny Naholo as well, is he a
miss him.
Taranaki fella? Should he have, maybe, I guess he just said, oh no, I'm going to Wellington, they got a spot for me.
He was at Hastings Boys, so he would have been in the Hurricanes system as a junior.
Yeah, right. Yeah. He gets swallowed up. I mean, it's pretty resolute in terms of the outside backs for the Chiefs. They're probably like, we good fam. We good.
So Hurricanes, Rebels, well, I think we've talked enough about.
Yeah,
they're good.
Just very good, and a very average quarterfinal. When you think about it, quarterfinal should be at least close, I kind of think.
Yeah. And
then we go to the Blues, Fiji and Drua. Again, 35-5. It could have been 50-0 at one point, I thought. At 22-0 at halftime, I thought, geez, this could get really, really grim here. And the last 10 minutes were some of the more forgettable 10 minutes I've watched in a rugby game. I just seemed to pack up, a bit wet, a bit slippery. Everyone was sort of sliding around the place. Scrum resets. But the Blues, I don't know what the stats were. They must have dropped 20 balls over the course of the game, if not more. The handling was atrocious. And I think they're going to have to get their shit together if they're wanting to win the whole thing. It'll be an interesting game, Blues versus Brumbies.
Yeah, so the Blues, I didn't watch that game, but the way I look at this whole season is, yeah, they've come in and become way more combative and old school thanks to old Vern Cotter, grizzled old veteran of a coach who said he wants to dominate every single breakdown. So they're throwing themselves around the place. But then, like you say, the attention to detail just isn't there. Yeah. And I noticed I was looking for highlights from the previous week for Crowd Goes Wild. I do a rugby wrap on the Monday, and I was trying to find a decent try from the Blues, and they're all just like pick and go from about a metre out. So somehow they got down there doing some cool shit, but they're not actually finishing. So they're relying on the big concrete mixers, the big boppers to sort of like barge their way over. And I mean, I guess it's what you're saying. Maybe it's just a bit of accuracy.
Yeah, certainly lacking accuracy. It was almost comedy of errors. They were scoring tries by knocking the ball on. Like 2 tries, I think, in the first half were scored by someone dropping the ball and it going backwards to someone else who was able to pick it up and dot down. Caleb Clark seemed to be all at sea for... He did score 2 tries, which I guess redeems yourself, but they were both, here's the ball, run it over. But the handling was just an outrage. So hopefully they can tidy that up. They're at home this week again. So I'm a 7 o'clock game as well. So it'll be fairly similar conditions and a bit wet and slippery. You know, it is the middle of winter, or at least middle of June, which is the start of winter. But, you know, I'm one of my Jim Hickey. So I'd imagine it will be pretty wet out there, the same conditions. And they've got to tighten it up. They've got to tighten it up.
It is a Friday, isn't it? Can I look at the weather for Friday in Auckland?
Is it Friday? Is it not Saturday?
The one against the Brumbies.
The one against the Brumbies, it's Friday. So what's going on here? Why have we got a 7 o'clock game on a Friday and then a 4:30 game on a Saturday?
It's a 90% chance of rain on a Friday. That's the Te Atatū Peninsula forecast, which is all I've got.
Well, that'll do.
That'll do. I haven't got a Wellington forecast on me, but do you want to look that up?
I certainly can. And as it stands, the Blues, absolute raging favourites at the TAB, $1.20 versus the Brumbies, $4. And I'd have to say that's good eating. If you were a Brumbies fan or even just liked an outrageous bet, the Brumbies, I mean, took them a while, but they do. I mean, might as well slide over to that Brumbies game.
So Wellington is the Saturday afternoon, which is 40% chance of rain for Welly on Saturday afternoon.
Before we do go to the Brumbies game, is there a reason why that game's at 4:30, not 7 o'clock?
I think it was the Blues had the chance to choose a time, and then they didn't end up with the number 1 spot, so it became the Hurricane slot, and because they didn't want to clash with the Warriors, which is...
So the Warriors is on Saturday night?
Yeah.
Wowee, I guess that's a sign of the times. And it's good to see Super Rugby
the wars.
actually thinking about it, though. Because this is the thing that, I mean, I've been pretty critical of them, of Super Rugby in general this year for not thinking about that sort of thing and just putting it on and saying, we're the hottest ticket in town. We can do what we want. We don't need to change our ways. So good on you, Super Rugby, for being adaptable, getting people in and not competing with the wars. What a Saturday that'll be, by the way, just parking up.
One last word as well, given that we've probably talked about the semi-finals and all that sort of stuff, is Brumbies Highlanders, your team going out. I watched some of that, but I felt that after that heartbreak of the soccer skills try, that you kind of lost your mojo. I don't know why, because I was only watching the extended highlights, but I noticed in the build-up to that try, JRK rolling, he was up in the air trying to take the ball. He got taken out in the air, was having a bleat to the ref about it, which could have been a yellow card on another day, but he didn't fall dangerously. He just sort of came down on his feet.
Always stay down. That's the secret there.
Yeah, stay
Always
down.
Always act hurt.
Always act hurt. You got to fucking sell it. But anyway, the guy kicks it over to Muirhead, who controls it like fucking Zidane.
It was incredible.
And then he just, and the ball bounces for him. I thought he kicked it again, but the reverse angle shows he just followed it and then it popped up for him. And that try, not that it was like a 14-pointer or whatever, but that try was, 50th minute or something?
Yeah, well, there were 2 in a row, 2 very close together. It went from being a very tight game. I mean, and compound that with the fact that the Brumbies scored on half-time to go ahead with the go-ahead score. I think if they hadn't scored that try, the Highlanders would have gone to the sheds being 5 points up and going, listen, guys, we're on here. We're on for the upset. They score a try in the 40th minute, go ahead then the Brumbies are up 2 points, and then in the start of the second half, 2 tries back to back. So it's 3 tries in a row. It blows the score out big, and then the Highlanders thinking, "Oh fuck, what are we going to do here?" And they're a team of battlers. They were battling away right to the bitter end, but it just was a tough second half. It's not the second half you want to have in a quarterfinal fixture. But they showed heart, they showed grit, but they also were shown the door.
Well, the Brumbies, Crocodile Brumbies, they are masters of the death roll. They pretty much will suffocate any team that goes over there. Generally, it starts off with the rolling maul and all that sort of stuff, but they just do it, and it's that shit camera angle from the stadium where it's too low.
It is an awful camera angle.
It's so shit.
I'm glad you said this. The whole time I was watching, it's from the back and low when the Brumbies were attacking under their try line. I was like, I can't really see anything.
You can't see anything.
The backs are obscuring the maul.
Yeah. So it's like, even if you've got someone watching the game trying to sort of do some analysis, who knows? It would just be impossible. They've probably put a massive pillar in the way in front of the visiting coach's box or some fucking thing, because it just seems that you go into this black hole, this void in Canberra, and nothing good happens unless you're Rupeni or some freak.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the game breaks open. But there is something that happens there, a Bermuda Triangle of rugby, where only shit goes down and people get lost.
Yeah, well, you know who else got lost? The crowd. This is the last quarterfinal in Australia, the only Brumbies quarterfinal. They're representing the country, and it looked like a Saturday afternoon game. There's no one there. It wasn't pissing down. It wasn't, I mean, I'm sure it was cold. It's Australia, Canberra in the middle of winter, but I mean, come on. What do you need, Canberra? Get out there. Go support your team.
Well, Aussie Twitter's gone nuts about, trying to defend it, but what they've done is they've gone all in on how shite the rules are of rugby, the laws now, and it needs to be changed and blah, 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 the entertainment. And there's a lot of people who are saying, I'm a Brumbies till I die, I'm a Raiders till I die, but the game right now isn't good enough. And, they're not saying how good, they're going not good.
Mate, you're winning the quarterfinal at home. You got to go support the team. You're not a Brumbies fan till you die if you're not going along to watch their final home game.
Exactly. Well, get on Twitter and can you reply to this person? I mean, I don't know, but that's the feeling was that those are saying it's not the same entertainment.
I've given Twitter a bit of a miss lately, just due to
hatred.
Well, it's pretty gnarly. I mean, I'm sure someone saying that the rugby is the worst part, the worst it's ever been. It's probably the nicest thing you'll see on Twitter at the moment. It's a real cesspit, and videos of people getting dangerously hurt.
Yeah, don't. The Twitter is really worrying, especially if a lot of people used to go to Twitter for news because it was so immediate. But oh my God, it
was the best. It was the best of them all, especially watching a game on and having Twitter open at the same time. Yeah, like a cricket. Like I remember watching the World Test Championship final, watching the Cricket World Cup final in 2019 with Twitter at the same time. It's like it's like you get a little chat column and you find your little group, but now it's just everyone saying, I'm going to slit your throat and, oh, your dad's dead, and it's carnage. I'm going to fuck your mum. It's classic ANZ ad stuff.
Yeah, exactly. They come all the way back and you just see Raj Varma from the ANZ ad getting his final say because they called cut.
Yeah.
And ANZ said, we're going to roll with the kid saying your mum's calling you, and then he's like, no, I'm back with the extended mix, bitch.
That would have been nice.
And not only did I fuck your mum, I also, my mum's dead, and here's her ghost is going to haunt you for the rest of your days. You're not going to have a normal childhood, okay?
That's a deep cut. I like that. Just to be like, yeah, she's going to haunt you. There's a hex placed on you now and your whole family.
That's right.
That's what we do here.
Don't you think you're getting away with that kind of sick burn on me down at the local domain?
I know. Great domain, though. I don't know where that is, but what an asset to the community.
I was looking at, is that Devonport? It felt very much like G-Lane, gentrified,
it does,
leafy.
It certainly does feel like a place where, the community attends public meetings in order to get such a facility. People out where we live, they're too busy working. They're too busy trying to make ends meet to be able to go to town meetings.
Right, we're going to take a break and do a TAB thing.
Let's do it. And we're back. It's the Champagne Rugby Podcast, brought to you by MAXRaft. They're insulated concrete slabs, warming homes around New Zealand. And now they want to give you the chance to head to your team's next home game, which will be pretty hard if your team's been knocked out. Text HEAT and your super team to 3236 and be in to win a double pass to your team's next home match, which can only be the Blues and the Canes this weekend. And then maybe the Canes or the Blues next week. Or it could be the Chiefs. The Chiefs could host the final against the Brumbies. Because there is two semi-finals. They're on Friday night, Blues, Brumbies, Eden Park, 7:05. Then Saturday, 4:30, kickoff, Canes Chiefs. All available on Sky Sport 9 with the AC's commentary. And what a world that would be if the Chiefs went back to FMG.
FML Stadium, it's the most unlikely result, wouldn't it, with the Chiefs v Brumbies as a final. It's not going to happen. I could safely. Can we bet against that?
Can we bet on it? I feel like this is a great game day good hunch.
Okay, well, why don't you do that? Because I've just been going with try scorers, and I thought, okay, Sotutu, Almua, Narawa, maybe, but like I'm happy to go with your good hunch.
Can we split? Can we do a $50 each? We've got a $100 bonus bet to spend on this. Can we do a two? Oh, no, let's stick to what we did, because we discussed this off here quite extensively, and then I've come on, the mics are hot, and I've lost my mind and said, let's bet on the Chiefs and the Brumbies. But no, let's stick to our guns.
Well,
and let's do Sotutu, Almua, and Narawa to score anytime try scorers in their respective games. I think that's a better bet. It's probably paying more anyway. I think let's go with that one.
Okay, and I would quite happily go against your hot mic hunch out of nowhere and say a Canes Blues final. It's probably paying bugger all, but
yeah, I mean they're the two roaring favourites. I think off the top of my head it was $1.20 to $1.60. The Blues and the Hurricanes. Getting a big thumbs up from our producer
combined.
there. I'm pretty pumped up with that. So
why don't we do that and as half? Can we do that as half, Adam?
For this, it'll be we got to go handy either way.
Oh, we're going to go handy. Okay.
So if we were to put those two together, it would be paying as a multi $1.92. So no, we're not going chalk.
Can we make it a huge sort of multi and do the three try scorers and the Hurricanes and the Blues to make the final?
Yeah, that's it. Can we do that as a multi?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, there we go. That's all we need.
That's
all right. Well, let it be known that I've stuck my oar in for the Chiefs Brumbies final. The final no one wants. The final that no one believes in. I think it's going to happen. I think the Brumbies could come over if the Blues play as poorly as they played for parts of that game. I'm not saying all of the game because obviously they did play pretty well in patches.
No Paddy Toops.
The Brumbies could, they could squeak in there and upset the apple cart. They got some good players. They got speed out wide. They got men with ponytails.
It is Sotutu, Almua, and Narawa to score a try, along with the Canes and the Blues to win.
This is a great game day good pun. I'm into this, and you can head to TAB website, tab.co.nz, or download the TAB app. Check out all the rugby union promos and the boosted odds markets. But I reckon that's good eating, that B final. I think it's a good shout. I'm going to take my own hard-earned money and chuck it on that, I reckon.
Yeah, you take your hard-on money and give it to whoever you like, because I feel like
this is your team, McOnie.
I know.
I can't believe how down and out you are about your own team. If the Highlanders were in the semi-final, if they were playing the All Blacks, I would still pick the Highlanders. There's no way. So we need to send this video to the Chiefs headquarters and say, James McOnie, supposed Chiefs superfan, doesn't believe in you. He doesn't believe that you can beat the Hurricanes. He doesn't believe you can go down there to Wellington. And this is a defeatist attitude. And quite frankly, I'm outraged.
No, absolutely correct. Send it away. Hopefully we'll put a rocket up their ass, because that's what they'll need to beat the
put a picture
Canes.
of you on their chalkboard and be like, see this guy? He comes into our trainings for Crowd Goes Wild.
And he doesn't
believe. Acts like our friend. He says, hey, g'day, how's it going, Tupa? Good to see you, mate. Hey, nice to see you, fellas. You're playing well out there. He doesn't believe. Let's make him believe. Let's prove this shithead wrong.
Yeah.
Let's strip the Chiefs jersey off his back. Never again will we be welcome in that training
facility.
facility.
Let's get the dad from the ANZ ad as well and chuck him on the board, because he has been out there fucking mums all the time and nobody is holding him to account.
Yeah, they
How many mothers is he going to bang in Devonport?
You're going to go
more than
into the facility the next time, and there's going to be an effigy of you and an effigy of Sunil's dad, and they're just going to be absolutely trashed. Hume next to thrown at them, javelins into them, a couple of patu marks on the side of them. They're really going to humiliate you next time you go.
Look,
that's for sure.
I'm happy for them to prove me wrong. It's one of those ones where I just look at it and go, you know what? The Munnet is always strong, but commentating the game, it's going to be on Sky Sport 9, 4:35 on Saturday. It's going to be tough not to be a massive Eeyore in that game and just go, oh my God, I knew this was going to happen. But G-Lane, it'll just be all hype. Don't worry. He is the hype guy in that game. So he'll be all hype. Friday night, it's again Sky Sport 9.
Yeah, Blues Brumbies.
Blues Brumbies, 7:05 p.m. Tune in. I still believe in the Chiefs. Love you with all my heart. You know, I'm Chiefs for life. Mana all day. Waikato till I die, kato. Don't you worry.
Oh, well,
Okay.
thanks for listening. I'm looking forward to breaking this down into the Brumbies Chiefs final next week. One more week of Super Rugby.